Hello everyone, let's talk WandaVision. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Lewis. This is episode 8, which is called Previously On. And we've got a big exposition episode this week where we basically fill in most of the gaps that we've had up until now. And I'm a bit mixed on this episode. The response to it has been quite good, but for me this was the most normal episode there's ever been. Like, this was the one that was most like a normal TV show, and up until now the show hasn't really been that, which is interesting. But you know, the sitcom thing had gone on as long as it possibly could, I think. But I liked how they were kind of mixing the two. But yeah, this is a big episode. We went into Agatha Harkness's backstory, which is cool. We showed like the kind of the Salem witch trials kind of thing, even though it was a bit different, because I'm pretty sure in real life the Salem witch trials were, you know, women who obviously weren't witches, because that's not a thing, and who were, you know, burned at the stake or whatever it was. But I don't think there were any laser beams flying around like there were in this one. But you know, and it was a witch trial of the witches. But the great thing about this episode was that Catherine Hahn got to be, you know, a full kind of self, and really, you know, really play that whole character rather than doing little bits and pieces like she's done up to now. And she was fantastic, as you'd expect. Obviously I mention her every week, and she is the highlight of the whole show for me. But yeah, we went back to Sokovia and Wanda's origins as well, which was quite good to see. But again, one of my things with this episode was, and like I say, it was a good episode, it was very well done, but my personal thing is that I don't like things being explained to me too much. I like having little bits and pieces and kind of figuring things out for myself in a way, which is, you know, it's just me. I know it doesn't work for everyone, but like, I've always really liked Pietro and Wanda's backstory, the whole thing about them having to sit there and look at that Stark Enterprises bomb, and that's, you know, that's why they hate Tony Stark, why they did it first, kind of thing, and why they joined Hydra, etc. But we didn't really need to see it as such. But you know, it's fine. I get why it's there. And the whole thing about Wanda being really into sitcoms because they remind her of her childhood and happier times and stuff like that. That was highlighted nicely in the thing about her dad. So we saw her actual parents as well, so that puts to rest any theories about kind of Magneto or whatever, which I'll get into in a minute, because that's the thing that's bugging me. It's quite negative, this. I'm not normally like this, but yeah. Also, it put to rest that theory about the people in the TV adverts being their parents, but you know, they were just obviously two residents from Westview, as we know now. But yeah, the whole thing about her having the DVDs of sitcoms and stuff, and she loves that Dick Van Dyke one, which is kind of where the whole show started. That was enough for me to kind of go, okay, sitcoms are her happy place kind of thing. But then they kind of kept showing that throughout the episode, like her watching Malcolm in the Middle in the Avengers compound, which is quite funny. And also when she was being held captive by Hydra, they had a TV in their room, which you know, they didn't show before. But that seems a bit weird to me that Baron von Strucker would go, yeah, you know, we've got these mutant slaves, well, they're not mutants yet, you know what I mean, that we're working on, stick them in there, make sure they've got a TV so they can watch some sitcoms. You know, I mean, that Baron von Strucker, he may be a Nazi, but you know, at least he's considerate in this regard. But I like the whole thing with Wanda and the Infinity Stones. Again, we never really saw that in the movies, we just saw them at the end of I can't remember which film it was now. Doesn't matter, but we saw them in Age of Ultron after they'd been experimenting on by Hydra using the Infinity Stone. That's how they got their powers. But I thought at first, because the stone was attracted to Wanda rather than her being repelled by it like everyone else apparently, and she saw the Scarlet Witch outline in the thing, which was really cool. I thought they'd be like, this is how they were going to introduce mutants and kind of go, they were already mutants, that's why the stone worked on them. But then obviously we found out now that it's a whole different thing with when we get to the end of the episode. But I like that. That was good when you saw the outline of like the Scarlet Witch that you're familiar with if you read the comics and that kind of thing. But yeah, that was quite interesting. So you kind of see she's been magic from the start. Like you saw when she was a little kid, she used magic on the bomb to stop it detonating, which obviously she didn't realise. So she had powers before the stone came along, which is quite a big thing. Like, they didn't make a massive deal out of it, but that is quite a huge thing, I think. I did like the scene with her and Vision in the compound. And Vision said that he's always been alone, and I was like, at this point he'd been alive for about a year, probably. Like, I mean, I know that's a long time, but still, like, you know, you've just been born, mate. Like I said, Age of Ultron, he was born yesterday. But I did like his line about grief being love persevering. I thought that was good. That was a deep line. I like that. And then we saw the clip of Wanda going into Sword and seeing Vision's body. Somehow they were cutting through the vibranium. They must have had vibranium cutting tools. And you saw a bit more of Director Hayward and how manipulative he was. Like you could see him kind of pulling Wanda's strings, getting her to act a certain way. Because obviously they wanted to reactivate Vision to use as a weapon, sentient weapon, as the sword bit stands for. And he knew that she was the spark to that, clearly. And then, obviously, as we saw in previous episodes, he showed the clip of making it look like Wanda broke into the compound, like when she shoves the doors open, which obviously looks worse out of context. And then told everyone that she's stolen Vision's body, when really, as we saw in the end credits scene, they had Vision's body all along. So that's probably the biggest thing out of this episode as well. There's been quite a few big bits in this episode. But yeah, so we see her go to Westview, and they brought a house. Somehow Vision brought a house. I don't know if he's got a bank account or whatever. And he brought a plot of land, which seems a bit weird. But and then we see the whole thing where Wanda, she finally has that moment where she breaks, and the grief and the power that she has creates the whole hex. And she created a new Vision. Like again, this is all kind of new to us. We don't quite know how everything works yet. Not that necessarily need to. She's so powerful. She's just created this new thing. But then so that's been we've always been under the impression that she took Vision's body and reanimated him, but now that's the big thing, is that she didn't. So that's an interesting thing. So I like the ending scene with Agatha Harkness and the kids, and she was like full Agatha now. She had the whole costume on and the makeup and the hair. And then she said Scarlet Witch for the first time, which we've never heard anyone actually say in any of the films or anything before, as far as I remember, which is really cool. So the idea being that Wanda was born the Scarlet Witch, which is this mythical figure that can just create these things out of nothing, which is quite cool, because we always thought, and it's always been the thing, that she got the powers from the Infinity Stone, but she's already been something, which is why she's probably the most powerful character there is in the whole thing, which is interesting. That's really good. So the end credits scene, we saw the White Vision, which is another thing from the comics. So it's the Vision's body, but presumably with a different personality, a different operating system kind of thing, which is quite cool. So they've set everything up for the finale episode. This was the longest episode. This was 46 minutes, I think. Well, 40 minutes and 6 minutes of credits at least. But so we've got probably, I imagine the finale's got to be like an hour long, because that's going to be a lot of stuff getting in there to finish off. But like I say, this episode, it wasn't my favourite, but it revealed a lot, and it filled in a lot of gaps, and it's all kind of set up quite nicely for the final episode, which I think is quite cool. The only thing that's bugging me, and this is outside of the show, is that people seem to be putting more on the show than it actually is. Like there's been all the Mephisto theories, which I don't think are going to come to anything now, but then the show never said Mephisto or anything about it. And the thing that's bugged me is there's been talk of like this big cameo, and that's all everyone's talking about now, is who's the big cameo going to be? And it's like, come on, it's better than that. Like, why isn't it more about the story rather than what actor's going to appear? Like it's like the Mandalorian season finale cameo was great when I watched it, but like, I don't want it to be that every one of these shows has to have somebody big in it, because then it just becomes more about what actor is in it rather than about what the story is, kind of thing, which is what a TV show should be. It's it's a story that keeps you watching, and you enjoy it, and you kind of get that emotional resolve rather than just a moment of going, there's that person. No, you're wrong, I'm a fan, I enjoy these things, but I think it shouldn't be the be all and end all kind of thing. But yeah. So a good episode, so very, very well done. I'm looking forward to next week, which is the big finale, and then I think we're going pretty much straight into Falcon and Winter Soldier afterwards. I don't know if I'm going to do regular reviews of that. I might do. I'll probably watch the first one and see if I've got anything to talk about, really. I don't know how it's going to go yet, but yeah. Anyway, as always, let me know your thoughts on the episode. Leave a like, please. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate that. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Thank you.